listening to the Startup Scale Up Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to create meaningful businesses and pursue their passions. My name is Demi Samande, and I am a furniture manufacturer, best known for documenting my move to Lagos, Nigeria, for hopes of business opportunities. And I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs from across the continent to talk about their process, the lessons they have learned, and how to make real impact. Welcome to Susu. On this week's episode of Susu Podcast, I had the pleasure of sitting down and speaking with Tobi Ajayi, a fellow entrepreneur, about the Sars protests and the aftermath of the Tollgate shooting. Tobi and I were both present at the protest before the shooting and had slightly different viewpoints. This is a challenging topic, guys, and we certainly got into it. I hope you guys take from our conversation as much as we did. We both not only learnt from one another's perspectives, but we came out of our discussion with not only more respect for one another, but even more motivation for change in our country. I hope you enjoy it, guys. Tobi. Yeah. And we're veering off a little bit here, and I hope that you are going to indulge me. Our recent turn of events in Nigeria, our political issues at the moment. Now, would you regard yourself as part of the elite and the privileged?
Well, that's a very difficult question to answer because, but to answer it in a straight way, I'll say no.
You say no. Now, the reason why I ask is because there's huge conversations going around the moment. Everybody knows, SARS, the End SARS movement has been a very, very emotional period for us young people, for Nigeria as a whole.
It's been very,
very tough for entrepreneurs and business, and from a perspective of a business owner and somebody who's running a business. I hope you were not affected directly.
We were almost. Luckily for us, we had a very robust Nigerian a kind of system that will probably work only in Nigeria. When I say so, is because I have two securities in our showroom, and we have a lot of friends, like area boys.
When you say friends, I knew exactly what you meant. Yes,
neighbors, the guys around, and that we just been ourselves, being nice people, treating them nicely, greeting them, once in a while. Oh, have you eaten and this and that? And I think that's what saved us. In a normal society, it's the police and the law enforcement that will have done their job. But right now, it's the community, the people that were just being nice to. I mean, I'll just be myself, just being somebody that I want to put a smile on people's faces, and that's what saved my showroom. Because those guys came, and my security said a lot of people came because there's a company beside me. I don't want to mention their name. A retail store, one of the biggest. They're online. One of the there are two big retail stores in Nigeria. Just know that one of them. There are two online e-commerce store. One of them is beside my, and unfortunately, they really.
Dealt with,
and so bad, because I'm an entrepreneur. I know what it takes to stock things. I know what it takes. A lot of loans and the rest. And they got to my place, and I was at home. I wasn't there, and they couldn't come to my place because I heard they had to mobilize. So my guys, my security people, and their neighbors and their friends around were like, "No, you can't touch not." There were maybe about 15 of them. It became a stone war, according to them. Those guys were throwing stones and standoff, and they were able to chase them away and even caught some of the people that stole from this e-commerce, about 3 of them. My own is, I see no reason, absolutely no reason why you will go to a site of a peaceful protest and shoot even one shot.
There's no excuse for it.
There's no excuse.
There shouldn't have been bullets, live bullets at that site.
What I thought would happen, and I begged people to go home, because I actually tweeted and said, please go home, obey the law, was that they will be arrested. And maybe, they'll make a big deal out of it. Yes. Maybe they'll give them, 3 months, put a dent on their...
But Tobi, let me ask you this. In the history of Nigeria, because I'm sure Nigeria's had lockdowns before, and curfews, sort of set out before by the heads. Have people disobeyed before?
Yes, Nigerians disobey.
And what's been the outcome of the disobedience?
Recently or before?
Before, because we can only go back. We can't go forward.
Okay,
We're only in the present
how
and back.
recent? Like
I don't know, because I didn't necessarily grow up
why
in
I ask
Nigeria.
how recent is I can use the coronavirus.
Under any governance that we've had, like coronavirus, for instance, that's relatively recent.
Exactly.
That's relatively
I could use
recent.
that,
Yes.
or I could use when I was much younger.
Yes.
In, let's say, I could use the coronavirus 1, I could use the Occupy Nigeria 2, and I can also use when I was much younger during the military regime. I can use those three.
Yeah.
So
how do you think people would have been? What were the outcomes of that disobedience?
So
in the history?
during Corona, what happened was you will be extorted by the police. If you're seen outside, the police will see you, they will embarrass you. And I wasn't outside, but I know that that's what they'll do. They'll probably, because people who traveled during the lockdown said it on social media, and some people
that
said
they
it
were
privately.
Arrested and extorted.
Maybe they were extorted.
Yes.
That's what nobody got. I don't know. I don't think anybody. I don't know. But got killed or something. But that's what they do during Corona. They will extort you. They turn it into a business, which is also very shameful. Then during Occupy Nigeria, I think the enforcers of Occupy Nigeria were the organized labor, I believe. I can't remember clearly, but I think that was what happened. So people were on the road once in a while, but most people, because most people were at home. So the military or the police didn't get involved. I don't know. They didn't get involved. I remember that there was a time the military said they were going to Ojota, and the governor then, I think, was Fashola.
Yes.
I think had it more or less, will I call it a dialogue or a negotiation with them.
I think the reason why I
ended it.
I think the reason why I was asking is because I wanted to kind of understand what's the history of how things have been done in the past when we've had issues of protests and things like that. If there's any reference point to indicate that this sort of behavior was going to happen.
To peaceful protesters, no. Yeah, the Nigerian security architecture is known by any Nigerian to be engaged in extrajudicial killings. It's known. When I mean extrajudicial, means that maybe they arrest a robber or a kidnapper instead
basically
of
a
criminal basically.
Yes.
Instead of going through the court process and letting the man or the woman have their day in court,
yes,
they can shoot them. It happens, shoot them, claim the guy was trying to escape, or one excuse or the other.
So basically you say that at the Lekki toll gate, peaceful protesters were basically dealt with like criminals. I don't even, till today, I don't understand why. That's how I see it. I have a lot of words to use. To me, it's more foolishness. It's foolishness. It is wickedness to go there. What is the point of even shooting? People say they shot into the air. They shot. What is the point there is
shooting
no
even
justification.
A single shot? Let me tell you what I thought was going to happen. That the military, I thought they were going to use the military anyway, because I sensed that the curfew was going to happen because there were already rumors of unrest in some areas, not Lekki really, like Aja, they burnt a police station on that day. So I already knew that. So when I saw the curfew, I wasn't too surprised. And I knew, because Nigeria is Nigeria, they will bring out the military because the police is not going to be able to do the job. They don't know how to enforce law and order. That's the truth of the matter. And that's the purpose of the protest in the first place. To try and ensure that the police it's not only the police, they're equipped enough to do their job. So I knew the military was going to come out.
Yeah.
But what I felt was that the military would go to the hot spots
where the crimes are taking place.
Yes. Then the guys in Lekki too, maybe they'll come there and beg them to leave. You know, maybe after 12 hours they don't leave. My point, my thinking was that by the next, maybe if they don't leave by the next day, let's say 12 o'clock noon the next day, they were going to use BRT buses. That's what I was even telling my, I was talking with my friend that people should leave. The next, if you spend 24 hours in that place, they'll use BRT bus to carry people to maybe a newly built prison. That was what I was thinking was going to happen. You know, that, okay, you broke the law. I did not for 1 minute. And that's why till today, that's why really, we need to know why, who gave that order.
To be honest with you, I don't necessarily think it's that important. I think the most important thing to really, I don't say that to minimize it at all, because I think it was just horrendous what was done. But I think the focus is one of the mistakes that we made. We've been complaining about, you know, who this enemy is, but we forgot how sinister this situation actually is. We forgot the history of Nigeria. It's almost like we felt invincible. And in our attempt to feel invincible, we made a lot of mistakes ourselves.
I agree.
And the mistakes that we made, unfortunately, now has woken us up and made us realize that the way we thought we were fighting this battle is not the way in which we're going to win it.
I think, and I said it, I wrote some things on Twitter. I said, you know, sometimes, and this is life, it's unfair, but that's the truth of our life. Good intentions don't always win. You cannot, for example, you cannot go into your car and start to drive, and because you have good intention not to have an accident, you have an accident if you don't
take the right
steps while driving. So that's the truth about life. It's just life. You need to make the right decisions. You need to be strategic. We started very well. We did very well. The objective of the EndSARS protest was on point. You know, my company was on. I even supported, like, we need to stop harassing people. It doesn't make sense to be more afraid of police than criminals. But at the end, towards the end, I personally felt that a leadership should have been chosen. If you don't want to call it a leadership, call it representative, whatever the name is. You cannot be headless. We've all learned. Like, I'll say our generations learned, but maybe because I'm an entrepreneur, like entrepreneurs, I deliver results. So I already saw it. People were talking about what do you call it again? Trust deficit with the government. And I say, yes, as a businessman, I do business with a lot of people. I do business with people that they're not straightforward. I do business with people that they're not ethical.
So what do you do in those situations as an entrepreneur? Let's just put our entrepreneurship hats on for a moment. Yeah. In business, you look at your, what we call the SWOTs, right? You look at your SWOT and you look at the pros and cons and you look at the advantages and disadvantages of your actions, right? So in this situation, what we basically did not do is look at the pros and cons of our actions. We didn't assess it properly.
We did actually. I think I spoke to some people.
We did, but did we do it in an efficient manner?
So I think the problem, I'll tell you the truth. So let me even tell you something. So we did. But we kept on not being very honest with ourselves. And I think...
What do you think we were not honest with ourselves about?
We were not honest that we needed to do things we needed to do. So one of them was, we're not honest that we needed to have, even if you don't call them leaders, we needed to have what I call representatives.
Because it's from your experience as an entrepreneur, can you outsource leadership?
Outsource,
because that's in essence what we had done. We had outsourced the leadership and said, there's no leader, but there is a leader, but there's no leader.
That's I was about to say so, exactly.
Yeah.
So you say there's no leader. How is there no leader? So one way or the other, you get money donated. One way or the other, some people provide security, or either some people provide food, or that is a leadership. That is a society with a leadership already.
Basically, that's a source crowd. That's a source crowd leadership.
Yes, and you have people, what do you call it again? People championing it. Even though, that's what I was saying. Some of them, we did, like I said, we knew what the problem was, but we didn't want to accept it because I spoke to some people who were more or less the representatives of the like the face, the people doing most of the background. And what I realized is that nobody wanted to be like a sellout.
Why would that have equated to being a
so let's say some people come up, because most people who said, you know what, let's get representatives and set our agenda. Because for example, I told some people that you can tell the government that 1, 2, 3, 4 can be done in maximum 2 weeks.
I'm not sure if I agree with that, because again, in one breath we say that our governance is so disorganized and it's so complex, and the powers that be have distorted this thing in such a way that it's not easy to dissect. And that's the reason why leader after leader after leader, election after election after election, we get nowhere. Now, if you know something is that complex, if you already accept that something is that complex, why on earth would you assume that you can achieve a change in the constitution, or on any level, by the way?
There's no constitutional change.
Within 3 days.
There's no constitutional change.
But even if, because the constitution itself is protecting certain things from change.
That's what I'm saying. Let me cut in. I'm sorry. From the 5 things that the NSAS.
Should we list the 5 things?
Yeah, I can remember some of them, but you can list them, please. From the 5 things.
Let me grab it. Hold on. Go ahead.
None. I'm not a lawyer, but for what I read, none had to do with the Constitution. The only one that had to do with a law, because it has to do with the budget, and the budget is a law, it's a bill, is the final one, the fifth point, which is the increase in salary, which is when I said that one may take some time, maybe some months, 3 to 6 months, I don't know. But a serious government can actually do it in lesser. But
we already know we don't have a serious government. So again, there's a lot of naivety. There's a lot of naivety.
Yeah, I agree to that. That's what I was explaining. It's a night I was explaining. So we'll go back to the 5 things.
Let me list the 5 things.
Okay.
For you. Okay. I
have the 5 for 5 on my phone.
You do? This is not it. 5 for 5. This is not it here.
No. The NSAS 5 for 5. That's not it.
Okay. 7 points. Okay. This is the 7 for 7.
That's 7.
Okay. This is really funny, because I was having this conversation last week as well, and we were saying that we have a set of 5 for 5, we have a set of 7 for 7. Yeah. We need to define what we actually want in a clear, precise way, with no ambiguity. There's no division, a one voice. So once we have that, which really comes under leadership, to saying, okay,
true,
this, we've laid out exactly what it is that our agendas are, what we exactly want explicitly.
True.
We now have our leaders appointed who are going to drive that cause at the forefront.
If you like, don't call them leaders, call them rep, whatever.
Whatever you want to call them, but you cannot crowdsource leadership. So you need to be very strategic. And I think that's where we let ourselves down as young people.
Agree.
We let ourselves down in the sense that we can sit here all day long talking about the history of Nigeria. I can't tell you how many sit-down conversations I've had where people have literally read me the history of Nigeria to be this incredibly complex, incredibly dangerous, very, very somewhat narcissistic, I've got to say, but really, 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 really deeply disturbing stuff. And I'm like, well, if this thing is really, really disturbing and really, really this complex, it's not a small giant to take down.
Yeah.
So you underestimate, in one breath you're saying the giant is humongous.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you underestimate.
But you know what?
List the 5 for me. Let's go through the 5 points.
So that's the 5.
So that everybody listening is on board.
Immediate release of all arrested protesters, number 1. Number 2, justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Number 3, setting up of an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct, into bracket.
That's an investigation.
Yeah, within 10 days. Setting up. They didn't say just set up.
Mm-hmm.
Within 10 days. 4, in line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body, into bracket, retraining of all disbanded Sars offices before they can be redeployed.
Do you think that's going to be done in 10 days?
Let me read it again. Then the fifth one, which I think is the one that will take time, maybe 6 months, maybe 3 months, I don't know. But I think it should be more than 3 months. I think the next time the budget is, they should.
Yes.
Which the House of Rep tried. To me, we have to also give credit to some people that did
because we can't paint everybody in the same brush.
because the
some people
the
actually
speaker
did make an effort.
The speaker too, like I always tell people, okay, what would you have done differently if you were in their shoes? The speaker too did his best. He's not the executive. He makes laws. They said, so he came out and he said, and I think he did to me, like
and
I said,
he was active. He was actively having conversations about the time.
I will not sign a budget that this. I think that's holding the executive to some, doing their job of a watchdog.
Yes.
Say, okay, executive, wake up. If you don't do this, I'm not signing any budget. That's a wake up call. So, and I think not only that, it's this politics. Politics is the influence of people. So it's not about just doing. You have to make people feel that you care about them. That's politics.
That's definitely.
That's why I like. That's what Sanwo-Olu Babajide he did. He showed
that
some
the president
care.
heavily failed
Exactly.
on. And I think that's where the outrage as well was coming from.
Exactly.
The lack of empathy.
Exactly. Lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy, the lack of responsibility and accountability, just not owning anything whatsoever. And I think that's really what's been pushing people over the edge more than anything.
That's where people may say a lot of things, but I think the governor of Lagos did some things there. I think so. He tried there. He tried. So the last one is increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting lives and properties of citizens. The next time, just that one, edit them, revise the budget so that you can show all these things.
Yes,
and that's all.
But
let's go to 1-4. You were talking about. So let me explain why 1 to 4 can be done in maximum 2 weeks.
Correct.
So if I was the president, for example, or I could talk to I spoke to some people in the press. I think they spoke to him, but I don't know if he wanted to listen or so. So what could have done is this: give an instruction to the IG. Let him know his job is at stake, whether privately or publicly. I don't care. We don't even care. Just let the IG know. Seriously, don't play politics. I think this was where you don't play politics. This is people's lives. We're all Nigerians at the end of the day. People die. And I think, because the president even said he believes that people die. So it's not as if he's denying it or he doesn't know.
Doesn't know.
So that's out of the way. People died. This is not politics. I'm not a politician. So that sometimes there are a lot of things that happen in politics. I say, like, what is all this rubbish? But I believe that this is not one of it. This is not politics. People died here.
So you believe that he should have been sacked instantly?
No. I don't think. Whatever. For me, I don't care whether he sacked or not sacked. What I want is that he should do the job.
Immediate release of all arrested protesters, which I believe that was an emotion.
Yeah.
But these things take time because there's a lot of politics involved.
No. Let me explain. It shouldn't take time. Let me tell you why. That's what I was trying to explain. You
don't know what those protesters were arrested for. Hold on. And this is why I'm saying the naivety comes into this. And I don't want to sound like I'm being very harsh on the young people, because I want us to be very easily, I want us to be balanced.
No, but like I saw some idiots burning a police station.
That's what I'm saying.
So when talking about those people
again, who are you talking about?
So I'm talking peaceful protesters that were arrested.
But that's what I'm saying to you, Toby. I saw footage and I saw news where lawyers, and you saw this on social media, where everybody was saying yes, there were reports back even from the female the feminist court and stuff. They were saying they sent their lawyers out and lawyers were responding pro bono, going to these police stations and releasing these people. We saw footage of people being released. Now maybe not at the speed in which we wanted it to have happen.
Personally, I count one as done, actually. But I was just telling you that
it was in the motion.
It was an emotion, actually. But hold on. But there was something that was happening, and you know how it was. There was no hidden information. Everything was open.
Yes. And
the government should not have done that. And the president should have spoken to the IG that should not have happened. Because let me tell you what was that. Let me tell you what was it. Exactly.
Yes.
You are trying. People are protesting against police brutality. You arrest peaceful. I'm not talking about protesters. No, I won't call it protesters. I'm talking about people that go to disrupt the peace of a society. Talking about peaceful protesters, those there trying to be protest, and they were arrested, and you agreed that you were going to agree to this 5 to 5. Now, why would a lawyer go somewhere and you deny that you have the protesters in custody? Those that break the law, please, because you need sanity in any society. So those that break the law, please carry them. But peaceful protests, it's a very important part of a democracy. Those that were not peaceful, provide evidence they were not peaceful and charge them to court.
But that's
simple as ABC.
All I'm simply saying is, in all of that chaos, you need time to clean house. We were not patient enough, is all I'm saying. We were on the right path. We were doing the right thing. And fine, we had resistance, but we were not patient. And in our lack of patience.
No, I don't think patience is our problem.
Well, maybe
I think our problem was strategy, not patience.
Okay, maybe not patience, but it's strategy plus patience to actually allow your strategy to work. First, have your strategy, apply it, see how it's working, go back, figure it out, and what's not working, what is working. But there was no strategy. You're absolutely right, lack thereof. But at the same time, even the little strategy we had been working. We'd gotten the attention that we needed.
What I always tell some people in my office is, I always tell them something. Life is a journey, not only life. At any point in time, you need to know where you are in life. Because what got you to level 2 is not what's going to get you to the next level.
Yes.
What got you going is probably not what's going to get you moving. Do you get my point? I'll give you a good example. I use a lot. She knows this example. I say it a lot in the office. When you drive a car in those days, I don't think it's popular anymore. When you drive a manual car those days and the battery has a problem and you have to push the car. I don't know if you're aware, you live in England. In Nigeria, you push the car so that the
to pick up momentum.
Then exactly pick up momentum and you're going. Now, when you want to start the car, when you start your movement, you go to the back of the car.
So may I have the 5 for 5 again?
Yeah, you go to the back of the car, you push the car.
Yeah.
Downhill, most likely. You push it. Then the car starts to move, gets momentum. And next thing, it starts. When it starts, what got you moving? Which was staying behind the car.
Yes.
And pushing the car. It's no more going to get you going. You have to now get away. You have to get away from the back of the car and into the car. Because if you don't leave the back of the car into the car,
you'll lose control of it.
No, the car will leave you behind.
Yeah, you will lose control. So you won't be able to. You won't be the one
driving anymore.
In the car,
so what got you moving initially, pushing the car, which is you staying behind?
Yes.
You can't stay behind anymore because the car has started. You need to get in and hold the steering and move the car. That is what we need. So what got you started? What got you the attention? What you did that got your engine to start? What you did that got the attention is not what you need to continue to do after the engine has started. The engine has started. People are listening. You need to move to the next level.
And what is the next level? Or what was the next level that we should have taken?
The next level, like I always say, the next level in an ideal situation was what we did here. Itemize our 5 for 5. Which we did.
Itemize the 5 for 5.
Hold on. Which we did. Now, it falls back to the government to now do. Now, that's why I still hold the government, and I was very disappointed because I expected a lot more from them.
Why? Which part of history has given you the assumption that, or even given you the idea that you can you can expect more? It's my point. And I guess that's where the devil advocate is coming in. If I was in England having this conversation now, I'd be like, yeah, of course, give them the 5 for 5, make them do it in 24 hours, because history in England has given us that privilege that it can be done. We've seen proof. Whereas you're starting from ground zero. Never have you ever had in Nigerian history where any youth has had any voice.
You know what?
And you have a voice, and then you have the audacity to think that, your demand is going to be met within 24 hours, just like that, with no resistance. And at the moment,
24 hours. I said,
not 24 hours, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, when you've never had it in 2 years or even 2 centuries. But what my point basically, Tobi, now is it's a case of you've given your demands, you've got a voice, you've got the listening ear you had never had before. Mm-hmm. This is now the time to not only just be strategic, but to at least exercise a little bit of patience to see how your strategy might be working.
But then we're saying the same thing there. The government should have. That's why the next step was the government doing a major, like 80% of this. 80% of this 5 for 5. But when the government did not, it falls back to us. It's like business.
How many days were you protesting for? Because I was out there as well. For the first week, I was outside protesting.
I think we protested for 12 days, I think.
But I think
12. It was 12 days.
12 days in total. Okay, from the initial. Yeah, I think I probably protested for like 8 days or something like that. 12 days. I think the last 8 is when it really picked up momentum.
Yeah. So now, when the government didn't, even though we all expected them to do. That was why I think the naivety came. See,
I'm laughing because I'm just like, where is your precedence for this?
Hold on. Now, because this is a very straightforward request. Very straightforward. The government of Lagos State, if Lagos State was a country, was showing that he could do this.
If any country that's remotely organized and has any interest of its people at heart would have done this in probably 24 hours.
But when it wasn't done, because it wasn't only Lagos, there were people, Anambra and the rest, and it wasn't done, it falls back to us. Like I said, as an entrepreneur, I do business with a lot of people. So when the other party is not doing what you expect, what you think is quite straightforward, what do? It comes back to you. You have to now make a decision.
Go back and you get
that's organized. Why I feel that we're a bit now not strategic, because this person has shown you in clear terms that they no send you.
I don't think that's fair to say. And this is the reason why
exactly what you've been saying since morning.
No. What I'm saying is, I think it's not fair to say that that their full response was, we don't send you. I feel that, like I said, and I keep reverting back to it. History here in Nigeria has taught us that we've never had any rights. For the first time in history, we were heard.
So what you just said now? What
I'm saying is, it wasn't a case of their response wasn't necessarily just, we don't send you, because
what was the response then?
The response was, we hear you. From where I was sitting, the response was, we hear you, let's look at it, we want this change as well. The powers may be does not necessarily want the same change. There's going to be resistance, but we hear you, give us time. That is what I heard. That is what I heard. And then my common sense now said to me, sitting back, and I was protesting and I was excited.
You're contradicting yourself. Let me tell you why.
Why do you think I'm contradicting?
Now, you said it, that where's the precedence? Now, and that's what...
Yeah, where is the precedence?
Now, when the government in Nigeria says precedence now, they hear you.
No.
Hold on.
That's the past, right? That's the precedents that they set before.
Yeah, hold on. Do they fulfill those promises?
No, history has told us that.
So why, why were you expecting?
So why did you write this if you wasn't expecting anything?
Because I expected it to be done immediately. And I think that's why...
My point is there's no precedence in the past for change ever happening. There was no precedence in history of the young people commanding this sort of attention from governance. The moment we saw that we had commanded this type of attention is the moment that we should have gone into strategic mode.
I agree.
And we we didn't. Yes. And it's also the time, in my opinion.
No.
Hold on, wait. Let me finish the thought. It's also the time, in my personal opinion, that we should have exercised a little bit more patience, because now we've got the ear that we've never had before. So in having the ear that you've never had before, it's now time to say to you, wow, okay, I've got power here. this is power I've never had. And now because it's power I have never had, I now need to be more intelligent. I need to be more strategic. I need to be more organized in terms of how I deal and basically converse with this power that I've never had before. It's not the time for you to now get arrogant, in my personal opinion. I am a young person. I'm a support of EndSARS, and I have been. But I saw where we drastically went wrong. It is not the time to now do bravado. It is not the time to now take it to the point where you are now basically saying, I'm too big for my shoes. You're now displaying the very same arrogance that you were contending with.
Now, when I was explaining the flow, so when it fell back to the government and the government didn't do anything, even though I felt they should have done something, then, like I said earlier, it comes back to you. That's to us, the protesters, the EndSARS protesters. And I spoke to some people actually and said, I even tweeted it, said this is strategic mode. They don't, that if you like, stay on the streets, talk about what happened, is not going. I told them that this protest at this point has gotten to its maximum power. We need to be strategic now. Let us do something. Let us not be unnecessarily arrogant and expect that, this will continue.
Let's not get overconfident.
Because this list is simple. To me, easy to do. But since the government has not done it, it means that, hold on. It's sending a message that we now have to be seriously strategic. That's what I will have done in my business. So now what we need to do is select representatives, engage the government, let the government now be put in a position where they have to tell us exactly what they intend to do.
Yeah.
And at that point,
without resistance?
At that point, because we've engaged them, we will put them in a position where they will have to make commitments and say, okay, you know what? Because that's what we're going to ask for.
That's what we need.
You cannot get those things without engaging with them. And how many million of us that protested cannot speak at once? So you need to get what I call representatives who would communicate and hold the government accountable. That was the point we were. And I spoke to some people about it, and that was what we missed.
Yeah, because we lost our temper at that point, and that's where I keep saying.
I don't think we. I don't think
we
that's
fell
what
for
happened.
the bait.
No,
we fell for the bait.
That's what happened. I think.
What do you think happened?
Were not willing to look like they were the sellout. Because anybody...
No, I'm talking about the switch. I want us to just move on a little bit.
Yeah.
The switch at the point where we didn't get the response that we wanted.
Yeah.
And then rather than saying, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board, guys, and really look at how we're going to penetrate this thing and really get lasting change.
That's what I was explaining to you. That's what I'm saying. The people I spoke to agreed that it was time, because they're smart people. It was time to be strategic. It was time to select representatives. I told them, as long as I see, if you like, don't call it leaders. Engage with government. Not Lagos. Lagos it was doing well. Federal government. Engage with the federal government. Let them make concessions. Let them make...
They had to put a commitment that, okay, even if it's not 10 days, give us 6 months, give us 1 year, give us 2 years.
Tell them why this one they are doing would not work. Tell them why you have to reevaluate and retrain the SARS officers. Let them know. You understand? If they want to do it, which means that if I'm the president and I want to do this thing, I can do it. That's my point.
I think that's a fantastic point, and I think if we were living in utopia, that would be a fantastic expectation to have. But like I said, the reality of what we are dealing with is far more complex than is far more complex than our attitude and our approach to this as demonstrated.
I agree, and I think the 5 for 5.
The 5 for 5
because
is fantastic.
they didn't make. Let me hold on. If you were saying things like fire a government official now. Come on.
How long does it take you to set up a department in your business?
But okay, hold on. Let's go to my business now. Let's just Lagos State set up in a week, less than a week.
I understand that, but what I'm saying, there's a lot going on.
Hold on. But we can excuse them. But I'm just telling that it's possible because even Lagos State did it.
Yeah.
So number 3.
I'm curious to see how long it probably would have taken them to achieve it, though. But I don't know. I don't have that information.
Then number 4, in line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining. This.
Okay.
Now, this is even something you can,
Don't tell me you can do that in 10 days. Please don't.
I'm not saying you complete it now. I'm not saying
it sounds like a PR stunt to me, because I feel like
PR stunt.
But in the past, history has taught you that Nigeria has done PR stunts just to keep the people oppressed and quiet.
But I'm telling you, this time around, do it for real. What does it cost to do it for real?
It takes time. That's what it takes.
It doesn't take time to set up, to tell people to...
Okay, even if it doesn't take time, Tobi, it takes more than 10 days, my dear. It takes more than 10 days.
It doesn't. You just said that it doesn't. Like I said, wait, hold on. Why are you saying it takes more than 10 days? I just told you something. If the government feels like they should Socrate it to me and my friends. We'll do it for free. We can go back and forth, but I think I've been able to show.
I think you've given a good argument for
1 to 4
it, yes.
That it can be done in 2 weeks. 1 to 4, it can be done in 2 weeks. Now, the 5th one takes time because it has to do with money that has to go into the budget, and the budget is a bill that all this thing 1, 2, 3, 4 is all executive.
Let me ask you something.
Let me hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
All this 1, 2, 3, 4 is all executive. The executive arm of government has the power to answer this 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only the 5th one that the legislative arm has an input, because they're the ones that will approve that thing. And luckily for us, luckily for the president, the House of Rep Speaker has said that he will not sign. Anyway, see. It was
it's exhausting, isn't it, Tobi?
I don't know why, but hold up. But like you mentioned, so when I saw that the government was not going to do what I would call these simple things, I told guys, select reps, be strategic, be smart.
How long does it take to come up with a strategy?
It depends on how elaborate the strategy has to be.
But it takes time, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The same way it takes you time to come up with a strategy is the same way it's going to take you time to implement it.
Yeah.
So A, you don't have a strategy and you're making demands. B, you don't really fully understand and grasp the system, the very system you're trying to fight innately, not what is in the book, because Nigeria has shown us that this constitution is one thing, but reality is something else. So again, back to my point is, I'm not the government useless in my esteem. I think Buhari has been a complete failure. I actually went to try and vote, and I would have actually voted for Buhari because I felt he was the lesser of evils, and I still think to a large degree he still is the lesser of evils if we're going to elect anybody again, because I've not seen anybody else promising. So, and we need to have a president, so therefore it's going to be Buhari or whoever it is that's going to come against him. But my point simply still stands at the end of the day is this: yes, we started off well, we stood together, we showed that we could unite, we showed that we are intelligent enough, we showed that we are skilled enough, we showed that we were resourceful enough, but then we let ourselves down by shooting ourselves in the foot, because at the very last hour, when we needed to really show that capability to strategize and to be intelligent and to be really, really patient and very articulate and very, what's the word when you're trying to shoot a very specific point?
Made that decision.
That would have been us if we're just us, the youth, the same people who initiated this.
Okay,
the same people.
That was the problem.
No, I understand. I'm getting to my point. So, yes, we didn't come up with a strategy in time, or at least we didn't announce a strategy in time, or didn't unite on one openly.
That we needed to
in
change,
the back end,
but nobody wanted to.
Nobody, even if they wanted to. Again, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Everything in life takes time. Even for you to even come together as an organization, EndSARS, even for us to unite and to agree on a leader, to elect a leader, even that takes time. Who are we deceiving? It takes time for you to for the people to come to the forefront and basically volunteer themselves. Well,
hold on, I don't agree. No, hold on.
They're in the back.
It took us less
They're in
than
the background. They're in the
to
background.
raise 20 million naira, which we now raised a lot more.
Toby, these are levels. There's levels to this stuff.
It took us less than 3 days.
It's easy to
actually
raise
set
money.
up a machine.
That's raising money. We're talking about somebody.
Not just raise money, provide healthcare, provide these.
You can't measure everything by the same yardstick because we did that in 1 week.
The reason why we did not, I spoke to some people. They agreed it was time to engage government. They agreed it was time.
So why do you think we didn't?
Because they were afraid.
Why do you think they were afraid?
Mob. They were going to be called out. They were going to insult them. They were going to call them sellouts.
Hold on. They were afraid for good reason because history has taught them to be afraid.
No, that's not the reason why they were afraid.
Well,
they were afraid.
Do you think they'll be afraid if this was a government that has a reputation of supporting people
hold on.
and taking care and protecting people? Yes.
But in reality, which is what we are trying to say, that they did not, which I saw, which a lot of people saw. I spoke to some people.
Yeah.
They said that the government was not going to do this. Now, I spoke to them and said, you know what? Engage the government then. There's no point. Engage the government this. And some people that I spoke to actually agreed that it was time to engage the government. But who is going to announce it? The few people that actually did. One, I don't want to just mention any names. Banky W actually said they should select, even did a vote on Twitter. Go and see the amount of insults. So that's what some people were afraid of.
Yes, and for good reason. I honestly believe
a leader of the mob, not the government. They were afraid of. It doesn't
matter who. It doesn't matter why they were afraid. They were afraid. Period. And it was going to take time for somebody to have the confidence and to find that inner confidence in order to step forward. Again, it was going to take time. If it took us, common sense tells me, if it takes us time to elect or even find a leader, would it not equally take the same amount of time? As well, it requires to.
If we could see the future,
all I'm saying is 10 days.
If we could see the future,
yes,
we would have chosen a leader almost immediately.
We don't choose a leader. A leader has to rise to the occasion. And then we now elect them. No, but who rose? Do you know anyone who rose? Anyone who said, "Guys, I'm ready for this. Guys, I'm ready." Did you have 3 people that came to the forefront and said, "You know what, guys, I'm going to engage it"? Did you have anybody come out? You can't elect anybody if there's nobody as a runner up.
Yeah, you're actually right. I don't know why.
Look how long it's taken us just to find a leader amongst us who said that we're so organized and so strategic and we know everything. We have all the answers. We can't even get a leader. And then you want them, the opposition, the people who've shown themselves to be absolutely just unrelenting, evil, unempathetic, to now be like, yeah, I'll fix all your problems. Go and bring me your 5 to 5. Give me 10 days. I'll sort it out. It's naive. We started off well. We knew what we wanted, but we did not go about it the correct way. And we messed up on that. And it now turned out into this mob thing. And then we had people who so-called said they were peacefully protesting, who quickly turned to the other side and became opportunists. The same young people that we thought were on our side, and they were actually the enemy, and they were amongst us the entire time. We are not as organized as we think we are. We are not as wise as we think we are. And that is where we messed up. We underestimated the guy. And I'm wondering, how have we managed to underestimate the enemy? So we say we know the enemy all along. Obviously, we don't know that much because we completely underestimated him.
Personally, my strategy is know your enemy. But what? Everything depends on you. So which we didn't do.
Get wisdom.
Which we didn't do.
Get wisdom.
We didn't do,
And that's going to take time.
So we I don't know whether we knew the enemy or not, but we didn't take the right decision.
I said we got a little bit we got a little bit arrogant. I'm going to be very, 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 very clear on that.
I don't think it was arrogant. I think it was naive.
Let's list it: arrogant, naive. We lacked wisdom. We didn't study our history enough. We were not patient. There's a lot of things that we need to correct amongst ourselves before we start pointing fingers at somebody else. Because I'm telling you, if we continue this way, the very same people that were saying, oh, the youth, once they get into power, they too will become old men one day.
Age is.
They will listen. Like I said,
you have integrity. You have integrity. You don't have integrity.
No. Everybody starts off. History tells you again. That's why we elected Buhari. We elected Buhari because we believed he had integrity. History tells you what you think is not always the case. So again, back to my point, we need more wisdom. We're underestimating how difficult this thing is going to be. You cannot change anything in a country that has been under manipulation in 10 days. I could have told you that for free when I saw the 5 for 5. I looked at it and I said, yeah, these are all valid things.
I agree.
I looked at it and I said, oh my God, this is amazing. Let's start. 10 days is ambitious, but let's get started. That's the most important thing. I'm an entrepreneur, so I understand that everything you do, even to train my own staff, do you think I can organize a committee to train my own staff of 30 people in 10 days? Come on now. That's naive. That's naive to the core. Even I, myself, cannot achieve it. You want an entire government who has to talk to Taraba state, this state, that state. Everybody has to get into a uniformed agreement before anything can be agreed upon, before budgets, before money can be released. I can't even get a voter's card. And you want them to go and release people and be paying compensation in 10 days. Come on now. I can't even get a voter's card. I tried to vote. When was it? How many years ago was that now?
That was...
Till today, I do not have my voter's card.
That was why I just...
We're not organized.
We agree. We're saying the same. We agree. But we should have just engaged.
We should have retreated, in my humble opinion. When the lockdown was announced, we should have retreated. We should have sat down and analyzed the success we had. We should have looked at the failures we had. We should have looked at where it was working, where it wasn't. We should have sat down and elected our leaders and said, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. We should have united on this. 5 for 5 or 7 for 7. It cannot be both. Do we need to combine it? Is it 12 for 12? We need to make a decision. We need to say who is brave enough to stand ahead of us and say, I'm taking accountability for our constituency or our government or whatever party we're putting together, and then come back different. And then say, okay, we're trying to achieve this. We want to get them to release prisoners. We're having resistance. Okay, do we need to go above their head? The police officer at the ground is telling you there's no prisoners here. Okay, we don't start throwing abuse at him. We go back and we find the people above him to counter say whatever he has said. It is not an excuse to throw your toys out of your pram and behave recklessly and then destroy the very businesses that is keeping us afloat.
Patriotism is supporting your country. Difficult action to make the country great. So I feel that everybody should come together. I say it a lot of times. Entrepreneurs is on my page, is on my pin. Like entrepreneurs should do everything they can. I think entrepreneurs change societies. We solve problems. Yeah. Come together and see some of the problems affecting us in this our country and change them. And of course, make some money while doing it.
Whilst doing it. Yeah, fantastic.
But really make the life of your neighbor, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your staff, everybody around you, the average Nigerian better. Ensure that people do not see what's subnormal as luxury. People love your country and build your country. That's fantastic.
Tobi, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing minds with you. It's been, we had a bit of a tug of war here today, and I thoroughly enjoyed it because I learned from you. I learned from you immensely. Yeah. Guys, honestly, thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Susu Podcast. I hope you've also learned a lot from Tobi's immense wisdom and his experience. And I hope that you guys can take on that knowledge and just amplify it to basically create your own stories. You guys are amazing. You have huge amount of potential. You really are the beacons of tomorrow. And I believe that as Nigerians, we really are talented and gifted enough to change our own tomorrow. So take care, guys, and have a wonderful week. Bye, guys.